Welcome back. This is your favorite deputy of Movie Deputy Reviews, here with Final Destination 2, the second of the 6 movies we are talking about this week. Now, I'm sure you're all anxious to hear what I think about Bloodlines, and you're going to have to make sure to stick around every day, hopefully, to find out what I think of the Final Destination movies because we are going in order of release. So today I am taking you all the way back to 2003. Now, oh wow, that seems like a lifetime ago. And for some of you, it probably is. I mean, everything changes so much, like decade by decade. And it's like to think that this movie came out 22 years ago. Wow. But it's still entertaining. It really is. And there is something about Final Destination 2 that I can guarantee almost everybody has either heard of or seen or something like that. Because it is such an iconic scene in this particular movie that it is just gone ultra viral in every way possible. Now, again, you're probably wondering what I gave this, but don't worry, I will get to that. And I'm not going to be giving the score at the same portion of the review. So you're going to kind of have to listen along to find out where the score is going to be to find that. So I'm hoping that you will stick around through all of this review so that you can find that out. As always, like I announced yesterday, all of these movies have a guilty rating. These movies are not for young eyes. This is a whole different level of blood and gore, but it tries to do so in a realism sort of way that never quite looks 100% real, but is still just real enough to make you go, oh. And of course, if you have a weak stomach or just where you're sensitive to that, I do not recommend these. I really don't, just because you'll be ralphing before it's over. Just some of the scenes are a little intense in these for some viewers. And there's nothing wrong with that. But even if you are not familiar with the stories themselves, there is a particular scene in this one. Like I said, if you... don't worry, it's not a spoiler, but if you've ever been behind a log truck, if you have ever seen that scene from Final Destination 2 with the log truck, if you've ever had that fear of pipes or logs or something like that coming off of a truck and smashing through your windows, and yeah, you can imagine, this is the movie where that is. This is the one where that is found. So if you want to go back and relive that scene and you want to check that out, go right ahead. This one does kind of piggyback a little bit on the last one because there are references to Flight 180 in this one and how Alex and some of his friends got off that flight and how death kind of caught up with them. But that is not the story here. The story here has to do with Kim. Now you're going to wonder, who's that? Who's Kim? Well, that's what I'm getting to. But her and her friends they've graduated high school. They're heading off to college and they're getting ready to go on a fun road trip. Her dad gives the okay. He's gone over the vehicle. Everything looks great. And so they start taking off on this trip. And then just through kind of a series of events, they end up in a situation where she kind of has a premonition similar to what Alex had. And so she stops everybody from getting onto the highway because she has already foreseen what happens. And as things start to play out, including the whole log truck accident thing and many others, I mean, there's an accident with a motorcycle and a cop car and just some other kids just being stupid and just basically everyday highway traffic. I mean, literally right outside my office is one of the busiest interstates in the country, I-80. And so I see crazy traffic and stuff every day, and I could not even imagine running into the series of happenings that happened here. But ever since I saw this movie, going back 20-something years, it's like, okay, I've always had a little bit of fear of those logging trucks and those trucks carrying those big pipes long before this movie came out. But after seeing that scene, it's like, when I see one, I'm like, nope. It's just a pure and simple nope. And I'm sure you're the same way. But getting back to the story here, when Kim and her friends and that are supposedly safe from everything that's happening, that everything seems to be going as planned. But she didn't just save her and her friends' lives. She saved all these other people. And as you know, death does not like to be cheated. So things will catch up in a very unfortunate series of events. But there is a twist in this one. Because they're tying into the story of the last Final Destination movie, they are able to reach out and find somebody who beat it from last time. Now, why is that relevant? That is very relevant because they find a workaround. They actually find that there is one way to beat death, but it's not as easy as it sounds. It never is, really. Come on, it really never is. Score-wise, I'm getting back to the story too. Score-wise, I did end up at a 5.25 out of 10 on the deputy scale on this one. But back to the story. So how do they find a way to beat death? Well, of course, I'm not going to give that away. That'd be a major spoiler. But for the first time, there's actually some hope. So is there anybody that will be able to successfully beat death this time around? You know me, I won't spoil that for you. But let's just say that death, when death is catching up to them, it's a little bit more maniacal than what we saw last time. This one is a little bit more things happening in a sequence in order to make things happen instead of just things happening. And I think that is a little bit more of the drama and everything that we get here. And we end up with a little bit of continuity errors and a few factual goofs. And like, if you're really paying attention to the details, it's going to bug you. But if you are just watching this just for like a guilty pleasure of just this like, ew, or like you want a date movie where somebody's going to snuggle up to you a little bit more if you guys are not totally grossed out by this stuff. This is a fun series of movies. So if you're sitting down and let's say you watched the first one last night, sit down and watch number 2 tonight and go right through these with me. You sit there and go through, listen to the review or before or after and go through these with me. It's an adventure. So why not? But I hope you come back tomorrow because we are talking about Final Destination 3 and there is something special about Final Destination 3 that you will not want to miss. So be sure to come back tomorrow, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.